everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be just a slight bit different than the usual stuff here on my channel. Today's video is going to be a cooking video. I wanted to share this recipe with you guys. I have been doing this for years and I absolutely love it. I got this recipe from this book. Yes, Cooking for Dummies. This is the second edition by Bryan Miller and Marie Rama. I discovered this book back when I was working at the TV station. My parents had gone out of town and all of a sudden I realized I didn't know how to really cook and I was gonna starve, pretty much. Now, my mom had stuff that I could cook, but it was all like in family portions, which I didn't want to break up because it's only me. So one of my coworkers actually told me about this book. I ran out and I bought it, and I did eventually try this recipe. It is on page 322 of the Cooking for Dummies second edition, and it is called Mediterranean Style Chicken. I refer to it as Med Chick. Just for short. This recipe is so good, and if you really love these type of flavors as we go through, you are gonna love this. I don't follow the recipe in the book exactly. Over time, when you cook something, you kind of learn to tweak it to what you like and what might be a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to show you my version today, and let's go ahead and get started. For this recipe, you're going to need zucchini, 1 onion, bell peppers. I just like to do whatever kind. I think they say red and green. I don't particularly like the green, so that's one of the tweaks. I do yellow, red, orange, and an extra orange. You need crushed red pepper, bay leaves, crushed rosemary, some kind of dry white wine. You can use water if you don't want to use the wine, but the wine really does give it a good taste. You need tomato paste, diced tomatoes, garlic, some kind of chicken broth. This is the one I'm using at the moment. It's already like crushed down powder, so it melts really quick, and that's why I like it, and it has a very good taste. And then obviously chicken. Now, this is another tweak. The recipe calls for chicken breast on the bone, which just to me seems a little bit insane. So this is what I use, is the chicken breast tenderloins. They're just basically like chicken strips almost, and they come out just as well as the others. So now for a side item, this is what we usually do, is the basmati rice. Right now we're just using this Uncle Ben's basmati that's done in 90 seconds, but you can also use white rice or jasmine rice, couscous, whatever you want as a side item, or you could even just do some like more vegetables if you really wanted to. So that is the kind of broad scope of the items, and now we're going to show you how all of this comes together to make Mediterranean chicken. I actually have the recipe stored on my phone in my notes. When I go to the store, I can just go, got that, need this, get this, and I'm good. So plus I do refer back to this when I'm cooking, because for some reason I can never keep the actual recipe in my brain. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is prepare the chicken to be cooked. So I've got just a big mixing bowl here. I got my chicken. We're just going to pop open. It's really easy, guys. Now in the recipe it will say to like rinse and all of this kind of stuff for the breast of chicken, but all I do is just take all these little strips of chicken, all these little baby strips of chicken, and this is about 2 pounds, just a little over 2 pounds. You can do you can do more, you can do a little bit less. I did try to do a half portion one time and it came out okay, but I'm not very good at figuring out half portions. So I just do the full thing and we just have leftovers. And I'm sure that you noticed that I was wearing gloves. I cannot stand, one of the things about me is I cannot stand touching chicken or any kind of meat with my bare hands. It disgusts me. It makes me want to throw up. So I don't do it. So I use like just those little cheap vinyl gloves type things from Walmart or Target, whatever. So I've got the chicken in the bowl. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to just sprinkle some black pepper over. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And then because my salt shaker is empty and I'm just going to use the regular salt, we're just going to put some in the hand, and then we're just going to lightly dust some salt over there. We're going to take our hands and we're just going to kind of fold these pieces in and just kind of mush it together. And if I had my like bare hands, this would make me want to be sick. I don't know what it is about I don't know what it is about me. Anyway, so we're just going to smoochy. That's a technical term, by the way. I'm just going to kind of mush it in. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Now, you don't have all of that pepper and salt sitting just right on top. And we're just going to do the same thing one more time just to make sure that everything is coated. Then we're just going to sprinkle again. And then I'm not going to do as much this time because there's some already there. So we're just going to do just like a little bit of salt and just sprinkle it around. And there we go. And we're just going to do the folding method here again. And you can definitely like lay these out like on a pan or whatever and sprinkle them and then, you know, pat them down and flip them over and all that kind of stuff. This is just easier to me. And then, you know, all your chicken doesn't have, like one side doesn't have like a whole bunch of seasoning and then one doesn't have any seasoning at all. So here we go. So that is the chicken prepared. This is one of those tweaks that I was talking about. Helps with preparation time, all that kind of stuff, because now the chicken's already prepped. You didn't have to wash it, didn't have to trim any fat off of it, anything like that. Just boom, done. Now that that's done, we're going to take this bowl and we're going to head over to the stove and get this chicken started. Let's go. This is the pan that I'm using. It's a pretty big pan. It's kind of almost bowl shape. And I love this pan for this because once you get all the ingredients and everything going, it's nice to have that kind of bowl shape. All I'm doing now, I've got some oil in here. I just kind of coat the bottom of the pan. So I usually start it high just to get the oil started. So I'm going to let this heat up and then we'll move on. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it way down and then we're going to start putting chicken in here. Way down to like 3. I might even turn it down a little bit more. And so I'm going to let this go. We're going to go over here and start getting all of the other ingredients set up. That is my biggest tip for doing this meal, is to go ahead and get everything already measured out and all of that while like the chicken is cooking, because once the chicken is done and we start actually doing the cooking, so to speak, for the actual recipe, it goes pretty fast. So if you have everything already measured out and all that, you'll be good to go. The first thing we'll do is go ahead and cut up the bell peppers. So I will go ahead and remove the stickers and drop them. These I just literally cut in strips. Ain't no magic to it. So I just basically cut the top off like so. And then I see how like you've got like here. So I just kind of slice down like that. And then you have a piece. And then we slice down again And then we slice down again. This one's a little bit big to do all the way down, so we're just going to do it that way. Make sure there's no seeds in there. And then I just literally go like this. I don't have any rhyme or reason. I don't have any technique to it. No, you know, they don't have to be a certain kind of size. The bell peppers chopped. We're going to wrap them up in some tin foil and put them in the fridge. Alright, so we're going to revisit our chicken. As you can see, it's starting to do its thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a pair of tongs and we're just going to flip over. Some of these pieces are almost done. And you can see that they've got just a little bit of brown on them. And that's good. That's what we want. We're going to let that go, and we're going to go and chop up the onion. We're going to go ahead and cut the onion up. Now, before we do, I want to say this. If you love onion, if everybody that's eating this loves onion, you can chop this up really fine. You could even go to like Walmart, and they already have like the onion already chopped up. You could definitely do it that way. However, my boyfriend does not like onion. So I have told him it is intricate to the flavoring and stuff of this meal. So what I do is I just cut it into big rings, and then that way he can pick out the onion when he goes to serve himself. The first set of chicken that I've done is done. This is why I suggest putting it on a lower heat, because then it doesn't burn or anything like that. So what you want to do, I'm going to move you over, is have a plate with some paper towels right there. And we're going to take this chicken out and we're going to place it on the paper towels. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and add in the chicken that has not been cooked yet. So we're going to let that cook just the same as the others. So while that chicken is cutting up, we're going to cut up our last vegetable, which is a zucchini. This you can leave out if you want to, but I love the crunchiness of the zucchini in this recipe. Again, James doesn't really like the zucchini, so I chop it up like this so that he can easily spot it when he goes to dish up. What we're going to do is go ahead and get everything else ready to go. So this is the can of diced tomatoes that I get. It's just a great value. It's in tomato juice. It's got a little pop top. Best thing ever. You just dump the whole can in there. So all you have to do for this one is just open the can. The bouillon base, basically it's the bouillon cubes just all crushed up. 2 teaspoons of broth base equals 1 cup of broth. This recipe calls for 1.5 cups of the chicken broth. So what I do is I make 2 cups worth, and then I just pour 1/2 cup out. Got to get some water boiling so that we can melt the broth. Put 4 teaspoons of broth in a container for that. So let's do that. So I've just put the electric kettle on to boil the water. So now we're going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and put the 4 teaspoons of broth base in here. and then we'll go ahead and measure out the other stuff. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. So I just get the Great Value tomato paste as well. It calls for a tablespoon of tomato paste. I just opened the can and I've just put my tablespoon in there already. The water is boiling, so we're going to go ahead and grab a spoon, and we're just going to bring it up to the 2-cup line. There's a 2-cup line there on this Pyrex. So we're just going to go ahead and start stirring just to kind of get it started, like so. And then we'll go ahead and just pour in the rest of the water. Okay, so right there. And just stir. We have got the chicken stock, the tomatoes, and the tomato paste divvied out. Now let's go ahead and go and check on the chicken. The chicken looks like it could be flipped now, so we're just going to go ahead and flip it. The chicken is flipped, so now we're going to go back and measure out some more spices. We'll go ahead and pour out the wine. This is the particular one that I'm using. It's a yellowtail Chardonnay. Any dry white wine will do. This is just what we have, so this is what we're doing. And I believe it's a half a cup. Yes, half a cup. So we'll pour that into the other Pyrex that I got here. And then we have these spices here. You only need 1 bay leaf, so that is bay leaf. Now this is another tip for you. You have to take out the bay leaf when you go to serve, because these are very bitter. So what I try to do is find a somewhat big one that's going to be easier to find. Now I can't find one in here apparently today, so we're just going to do these two, and hopefully I can find both of them. So we're just going to put them on a plate. Okay, so we need 1½ teaspoons of dried rosemary leaves. These ones are amazing because they're already crushed, because you're supposed to crush them. We need 1½ teaspoons. So I'm just going to get my ½ teaspoon out. It's just going to go on the same plate as the bay leaves because it all goes in at the same time. I believe it calls for, yeah, 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Here's where I deviate again from the recipe, and I do double. So that's ½ teaspoon of red pepper flakes. So we're going to do that because I like mine to be a little bit spicier. That's one thing, when I did this recipe the first time, it just wasn't spicy enough. So we've got ½ teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Again, if you like more heat, you can definitely add more. If you don't like as much heat, you can definitely use less. One thing that I also do is I add a little bit of salt. I found when I first started cooking this that it was a little bit bland. So just adding like just the tiniest amount of salt in as well. The last thing to measure out is the flour. This is another place where I deviate because it calls for 1 tablespoon of flour. But I found when I first cooked this that it was a little bit runny. So I double the flour. So I do 2 tablespoons of flour. I've got 2 tablespoons of flour, and we are all measured out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got a ½ cup thing here, and I'm just going to very carefully pour ½ cup of broth out. And now we have the right amount. We've got everything measured out. I'm going to transport this over to the stove and get that rest of the chicken out, and we're going to get to cooking. The chicken is done, so we're going to go ahead and pull this out. We're going to get the onions and the garlic out of the fridge, and we're going to cook those. The garlic, I don't ever pay attention to how much garlic they say because I just put in as much garlic as I want, and I'm a very garlicky person, so I love garlic. It is my favorite. So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to dump those in. I'm just going to get a big old spoon and just dump like about that much in. Again, this is a preference thing, so if you don't like that much garlic, obviously you cannot put that much garlic. Then you're just going to stir this around, cook this up for like 3 minutes. And you can bring up the heat just a touch if you want to. Another thing that I deviate from, they say to take some of the oil out, but I find that I don't put a lot of oil in there, so I don't really need to drop out any oil. So that's just me. You do you. I just find it very cumbersome to try to dip some of the oil, hot oil and grease out, so I just don't even bother. And that's where the extra flour comes in handy as well. We're going to start with the flour, and you're just going to lightly add some in. And then we're just going to scooch it around, add a little bit in, scooch it around, add a little bit in, scooch it around. You want to kind of scrape the bottom of the pan, even though there's not really anything going on there. But we just go ahead and dump the rest, and I bump it out. And then you're just going to do this, like stir it in, get it kind of mixed in for like a minute. So I'm just going to kind of watch the time on the clock here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in the chicken stock very, very slowly. Off the stuff that's stuck to the spoon. You're going to put in the wine as well. Can you see wine? And again, you're just going to lightly stir it in. I'm going to turn up the heat. And then, this is what I was saying. Once you go, it goes quick. So you're just going to kind of stir this around. You're going to get this all these kind of like chunky bits. You're going to kind of like break them up a little bit. And you're going to let this chicken broth and wine boil. Here it's starting to boil. Yep. So we've got boilage. So we're going to turn it way back down as low as we can go. And we're going to dump in the tomatoes. So the tomatoes, basically everything but the zucchini is going to go in here at this point. And that's why I say it goes very fast once you get to this point. So you want to have everything measured out so that it's already ready to go and you're not like running around the kitchen like a crazy person. So we're going to do the tomatoes. I'm going to get the tomato paste. And then all of these seasonings in. And then I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir so that we can get everything kind of incorporated. We get the bell peppers as well in there. Okay. We're going to add the chicken back in. So we're going to just start putting all the chicken back in here. Again, we're just going to kind of flip it around and kind of push it into the sauce because you want the sauce to kind of like really get in there. Alright, so there we go. Now what we do is we cover for 10 minutes. 10 minutes have passed. We are going to uncover for a split second all of this goodness. So I'm going to sit this off to the side for just a minute. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stir it back around a little bit just to do that. Oh my god, it smells so good. Alright, there's a bay leaf. Get back in there, bay leaf, because you need to be cooking in there. Boop, boop. Alright, so then what I do, is lose half the zucchini. Okay, so then we're just going to put, really, okay. So then we're just going to cut the zucchini. Alright, so we put the zucchini in. We're going to cover for 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit more because I feel like that's not simmering enough. Since I have made a slight mess in the kitchen, we're going to go ahead and get that cleaned up so that that's already done when the chicken is done. So let's go ahead and get cleaning. Take off the lid. If you are cooking rice on the stovetop, that takes a little extra time. Go ahead and start working on that after you've put the zucchini in and covered it back up for that 5 minutes. If you are doing the rice that takes 10 minutes in the microwave, that you like shove the bag in a bowl of water and then it takes 10 minutes, start it now when you uncover it, because that way your rice will be done at exactly the moment that the chicken is done, and you'll be able to just chow down as soon as everything is ready. So that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really did enjoy making this for you guys and kind of taking you step by step and giving you my tweaks and pro tips and all of that good stuff. If you happen to try this recipe, please let me know how it came out, and if you liked it or not. Send me a picture of your final product on any of my socials. All of those are linked in the description box below. And if you would like to see more cooking videos from me, please let me know down in the comment box below. I would love to do those. I am by no stretch of the imagination a master chef or anything like that, but I have a couple of other little things that I could do for you guys. If you have any other suggestions as well, please let me know and I will be glad to do those for you. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.